Seth with Glowe Industries here. Today I wanted to talk to you about the Creality K2 Plus and upgrades that are currently available. If you're anything like me, you like to upgrade your tools and make sure that you're maximizing your efficiency. The problem is that this machine is so new that up until very recently, there haven't been much available in the way of upgrades. Now that they are starting to trickle out, it's difficult to know which upgrades are really worth your money and which are going to leave your expensive new machine so broken that you're unable to even complete a print in something simple like PLA. The first thing that I see a lot of folks pick up is a new magnetic bed for their unit. I did the same. I landed on this two-sided plate, one with a textured PEI side similar to what comes with the K2 unit stock. It costs around $65, nearly the same cost as purchasing a pair of build plates to serve the same purpose. The textured side of this plate, it works pretty well. I don't really have any complaints about the PEI side. However, the smooth side. The listing on Amazon specifically mentions PETG as being okay to use with the smooth side of this plate, but in my testing, well, my testing determined that that was a lie. The very first PETG print I used the smooth side of this plate for was also the last, since it ruined it. When I managed to get my model off the plate, the surface coating started coming with it. On the very first print. I took my time in choosing this build plate, and it definitely was one of the pricier options available, so I wasn't expecting such a cheaply built plate. That said, both of the build plates that I purchased directly from Creality performed flawlessly. My favorite build plate to this day are the textured PEI plates that Creality sells. As far as I'm concerned, this is an upgrade that can be skipped as long as your existing build plate is in good condition. If you do need a replacement, definitely get an OEM replacement and you should be good. I've had no adhesion issues, no warping issues, and overall have been much happier with an OEM build plate than I was with an upgrade. And I say that in quotes. Save your money. This one is worth skipping. Next, let's talk about something that most certainly is upgradable, the nozzle. Up until recently, the best that was available for the K2 were hardened steel nozzles. Are they bad? Not really, no. Hardened steel is a lot better than brass if you don't want to completely shred your nozzle the first time you squeeze carbon fiber containing filament through it. But, while much more durable, hardened steel isn't known to be a great conductor of heat. This means that a steel nozzle will take longer to heat up, it won't transfer heat to the filament as well as brass, and also will be more prone to slight fluctuations in temperature as you're extruding plastic through it. What if I told you that now you don't have to choose between great thermal conductivity and the ability to squeeze out engineering filaments? Because I am. Telling you that you don't have to choose, that is. Introducing the first option, tungsten carbide. These have better thermal conductivity and are more durable than a typical K2 Plus nozzle for sure. And I was amazed at the difference it made when I switched to one. Filament flows evenly, and I've had no issues with even the most difficult filaments clogging things up. For a moment in time, these were my favorite nozzles for sure. If you're wanting to upgrade your nozzle and you're on a budget, this is a great place to start and provides a great value over what the printer came with originally. One of these will set you back more than 3 standard nozzles, $35 each versus $26 for 3, but they are well worth the cost. What if quality outweighs the importance of cost? Well, for you then, there is another available option, silicon carbide. I mentioned a moment ago that tungsten carbide were my favorite for a moment in time. These are why that's no longer true, and they are my current preferred nozzles. Unfortunately, I've been able to find these being sold domestically yet, so if you're wanting to pick one up, I found mine on AliExpress, you will both need to be patient for shipping on top of paying even more than the tungsten carbide. The cost is about $42. Is it worth it? Well, in short, yes. A good way to think about a silicon carbide nozzle is by imagining an enchanted +2 tungsten carbide nozzle of sorcery. Not only do these take the positive qualities of a tungsten carbide nozzle and make every aspect better, but you're now well into the realm of what's considered a forever nozzle. This is a good time to bring this up. While we're talking about nozzles, let's talk about thermal paste. This is something that I'm not sure a lot of folks even begin to consider, but not all thermal paste is created equally, and it's not even close. Getting right to the point, ditch the small pouches of thermal paste from Creality and pick up some high quality thermal paste. It's not expensive, and unlike the pouches, it is easily resealable. Just one small container of paste will last you for the foreseeable future, and compared with the other expenses that come with this hobby, it's negligible. Spend the $8. So, this next piece, I wasn't even really looking to upgrade, but Amazon knows exactly how to swindle money out of me. And I had a couple of sets in my cart without hesitation. Extruder gears, two variations even. The claim is that since these pieces are all metal, that they will perform better than the OEM ones that use the plastic gear. These are currently available in black and a gold color. I picked up a set of each. The day I got them, I opened things up and installed the black gears into my extruder. The day I got them, I don't think I was able to successfully complete even a single print. Right away, though, I noticed a faint clicking anytime the extruder was in use. It's rarely a good sign. After several frustrating attempts at printing with polycarbonate, which is something I do literally every day without issue, I decided to remove these and see what was going on. Well, once I got them out, it became immediately obvious that there was destroyed and ground plastic flakes all over. And the plastic had also begun filling up the holes in the gear that the manufacturer claims add stability to the gears and somehow make them better. These were quite literally grinding up the filament instead of extruding it, and this doesn't make my printer very happy at all. Something that I also noticed once these gears were side by side with the OEM gears is that the depth of the actual metal gears on these were not the same size as the OEM gears, and were in fact around 25% smaller when compared with OEM, 3 millimeters deep versus 4 millimeters deep. Well, at this point, I wanted to make sure that there were not any other factors at play here, so I reinstalled the OEM pieces and immediately attempted to print the same print that had repeatedly failed when using these gears. Right out of the gate, by switching the old gears back in, I was able to get a nearly perfect print with no issues at all. If you like your 3D printer, you may be better suited by throwing these straight into a garbage can. The last upgrade I'm going to mention today is pretty big and solves a problem I've seen many folks complain about with their K2 Plus. The issue? Taco bed. The heated bed that comes with the K2 Plus isn't immune to heat and begins to warp and contort into different shapes depending on how hot you get it. Outside of extreme situations, as long as your K2 Plus has everything mapped out, your print should still be okay since the software will compensate for the shape of your bed. The problem is that anytime you change the bed temperature or the chamber temperature, you'll need to both let your printer soak in that temperature that you'll be using it at, and then have it run through a fresh bed leveling sequence. That's exactly where the new graphite bed comes into play. Not only is it much flatter right out of the gate than the OEM bed is, but it also holds and maintains its shape no matter the temperature. You get a printing surface that's much more even and don't need to worry about updating your bed mesh on every print. Whereas I used to have to wait 20 to 30 minutes heat soaking, I'm now able to simply select the appropriate configuration of my slicer and hit the send button without worrying about it at all. For this upgrade, you should plan to spend several hours getting everything set up. You'll need to not only remove the back of your printer and disconnect a handful of wires from various places, but you'll then need to get the bed unscrewed from the front, including one of the guide chains that feeds everything to the rear. Once everything is back together and wired up though, all you need is a simple change in your printer.config file, and then you'll need to run a hotbed PID calibration, and you're set. Now, for $250 after shipping, it may not be an attractive option for everyone, and honestly, there isn't much of a difference in that outcome versus when my mesh was at a 0.8 millimeter variance and now that it's at a 0.4 millimeter variance. The value to me in using this bed is the amount of time I save by simply not having to heat soak the printer constantly before even starting the print, and then getting a fresh mesh on top of it. For me, the new heated bed has already more than paid for itself in time saved. If this isn't an issue to you, then you can probably skip this upgrade too. So let's get things wrapped up. Which upgrades would I recommend and which would I recommend to avoid? The extruder gears are immediately the most obvious example that jumps out as an upgrade that's actually a pretty bad downgrade and may even cause your printer not to work. I do not recommend getting the existing aftermarket extruder gears that are being sold. Next up, we have the build plates. I really wouldn't recommend upgrading these because the Creality ones perform exceedingly well. Now, if you need something like the fancy prints that are coming on them for a pattern surface, okay, but something like that isn't really available for carbon fiber filaments or polycarbonate anyway, since they print way too hot for these style of bed plates. The most readily available and lowest hanging fruit is definitely the nozzles. And yes, even if you're just going with the tungsten carbide nozzle, the difference is night and day. Upgrade your nozzle from the hardened steel to any of the available options today, and you are likely not going to regret it at all. This is a huge upgrade. And finally, the heated bed. I mean, for me, this is a no-brainer. It saves a lot of time and is a huge quality of life improvement in general, just being able to click the send button and not worrying about, the current temperature of my printer or if it's heat soaked long enough and maintained its final shape. I recommend this bed for anyone else that doesn't like wasting a lot of time. And I recommend getting it from, I'm not sure how to say it, but it's r3men.com. So Riemann.com. And for the nozzle, I recommend the Fadis silicon carbide nozzle. There's a couple other partner brands that are all selling it, but the nozzles come clearly marked as a Fadis nozzle, as was apparent in the earlier screenshot that I posted. And that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment below. If you know of any K2 upgrades that I have not tested, definitely please let me know that. I'm always looking for, ways to improve my day-to-day experience using these machines. So I look forward to any input, any criticism. Feel free to leave it below too. We can discuss if you feel like I should do a different test or may have a different outcome under different situations. So if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care, everyone.